All right, y'all, gather round because Monet Exchange from Sibling Rivalry is here with an announcement. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Google Gemini. Now listen, the girls over at Google said, Monet, tell the children, so I'm telling you. U.S. college students get Google Gemini's Pro Plan free for 1 year. Use the best model in the world for multimodal understanding, so whether you're uploading a video to get feedback on your presentation, uploading a photo of your homework to ask for help, or transcribing notes from a lecture you missed, Gemini 3 Pro can help. And baby, if I had this in college, she would have been unstoppable. Picture it. Monet Exchange in the library, uploading a picture of my music theory homework like, Gemini, please help a diva out. Or recording my rehearsal videos for feedback instead of crying in the practice room for 3 hours. This would have been life-changing. Now, back to the goods. Sign up to get more access to Google's most accurate model, Gemini 3 Pro. Unlimited image uploads, pro-level image editing, higher limits in Notebook LM, Gemini in Gmail and Docs, 2 terabytes of storage, and more. You heard me, 2 terabytes. That's enough space to store every vocal warm-up, drag race look, and every photo your aunt sends you of her plants. Visit gemini.google/students to learn more and sign up. Terms apply.
What do you want? Not family, not friends, not society at large, you. What do you want and how do you want it? Without the noise of external opinions, you may have the space to find out. On the dating app field, curiosity leads the way towards intimacy with others and yourself. If life on field interests you, here's a closer look at exactly what happens there. Now, I love field because it doesn't gatekeep connection. In an age where dating apps create hurdles to finding your people, field is built differently. My favorite part, there's no fast swipe culture. Sometimes attraction takes time. Here, you don't have to make a split decision in order to see another person. Skip profiles, go back, and take the time you need to decide if you really like someone. Are you ready to give Field a try? That's FEELD. Download Field on the App Store or Google Play.
This episode is brought to you by Greenlight. Get this. Adults with financial literacy skills have 82% more wealth than those who don't. From swimming lessons to piano classes, us parents invest in so many things to enrich our kids' lives. But are we investing in their future financial success? With Greenlight, you can teach your kids financial literacy skills like earning, saving, and investing. And this investment costs less than that after-school treat. Start prioritizing their financial education and future today with a risk-free trial at greenlight.com/Spotify. Greenlight.com/Spotify.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and those who don't identify as either, you are listening to a bonus episode of Ratchet and Respectable. Let me tell you something. I had one of the best 24-hour runs that I've had in a really long time. Like, I have 10 days on a regular basis when I'm in Cape Town. That's one of the reasons that I keep coming back here. Like, I love this city. Yesterday, I don't know what it was. I woke up early. I went for like my 3-mile walk. I usually do it at sunset. I decided I was going to do it in the morning and get it out of the way. I had this beautiful pistachio coffee at the end of my walk. It's like my reward for like work well done. I come back to the house, I clean myself up, I go to the Zeitz Museum. It's like the modern art museum here in Cape Town, but it's like all like African art, and by African, like on the continent of Africa, but also the diaspora. It was wonderful. I had scheduled 2 hours, and at the end I had to rush through because it required more than 2 hours. I probably should have taken about 3. No problem. I'd scheduled a high tea at the Silo Hotel, which is attached to the museum. They share the same space. So the high tea is not on the top floor, but it's on a high floor. It has beautiful views of Cape Town. So on one side, I'm looking at Table Mountain, but also like in the same like visual scope, I can also see Lion's Head. Gorgeousness. The tea was lovely, beautiful teas. The food was great. The desserts were amazing. The service was perfection. It was great. The decor, everything about it was absolutely perfect. Oh, and after tea, I have a frosé, which is very hard to find even in the States. Like frosé had a moment and then frosé went away. But like I was a huge frosé person and it's really hard to find in the States, much more in Cape Town. But this place has a lovely frosé, not too sweet, not too icy, just like a perfect frosé. So I love the decor. I loved everything about it. I took a million pictures. I put some of them in my Instagram stories, not all. I'll add some later today. Today being Friday, it's 11:48 a.m. my time. It's approaching 5 a.m. where you are. Y'all are still nestled into your bed sleeping, hopefully. I hope you don't have to get up at 5 a.m. to go to work. Okay. So I circle back from the museum and I go to the gift shop because the gift shop is epic. So I circle back to the bookshop and I see a woman who I immediately identify just by her demeanor, her hair, just everything. Oh, she's Black American. And I don't really think much of it because, like, there's lots of Black Americans here. So I go to the bookshop. I don't see anything that I'm particularly in love with. And so I leave. I get maybe like 3 or 4 minutes away and my phone blows up. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, who's looking for me? So I check my phone and the message is, I'm here, don't leave. Who here? I told y'all when I upgraded my phone, I had like an iPhone. Did I have a 14? I think I had a 14. And then I upgraded it to a 17. And then I lost all the names in my contacts. So like I see numbers, but I don't see like who's actually texting me. I get this message that I'm here, don't leave. And I have to scroll up to figure out who it is. It's one of my favorite people on earth. Her name's Manushka. She lives in Brooklyn. I love this woman for like no reason. I mean, I could give you reasons, but like she doesn't need a reason. Like, I just love you. She doesn't have to do anything. She doesn't have to say anything. She doesn't be anything. She doesn't have to accomplish anything. Like, she's just one of those people who I just love because I love you. And that's just it. She's not only in South Africa. She's not only in Cape Town. She's in the physical space that I just left 3 minutes ago. So I turn around and go meet her. She was like, yeah, one of my friends recognized you from the bookstore and was like, oh, your friend is here. And so she was like, stay where you are. I'm coming down. Perfect. So we like connected and we chit chatted and we caught up. And she was like, this is my last night in Cape Town. We're just like bouncing around the country with like my friend for her birthday. It's December. The friend's birthday was like in July. As a fellow Cancer, because I met her last night. As a fellow Cancer, I was like, I would do some shit like this. I absolutely would if I was unavailable in July. And she was like, oh, no. I did events like, in July too. It's just, it's my birthday year. And I was like, carry on, sis. Carry on. Lovely lady. I ended up hanging out with my friend and then I went shopping. I did get on the I'm calling it a carousel. It's not a carousel. What is it called? The wheel. The big wheel. The Ferris wheel. That's what it's called. Okay. I did get on the Ferris wheel. It wasn't particularly like a good sunset kind of day. It was overcast. So the views weren't amazing, but I did enjoy my Ferris wheel ride until I got stuck like way high up in the air. And then like my little like pod started swinging back and forth because it was a little windy. And I was like, get me the fuck off of here. But like, okay, fine. So I get home at like 7:45 and I was like, you know what? I had a really amazing day. Like I ran into one of my friends. I met some new people. I had some good shopping. I had some good art. I went to this high tea. It was amazing. And I had my good walk in the morning. Like I felt invigorated. I ended up walking like 6.5 miles yesterday. I was like, I had an amazing day. So I changed into my soft clothes. I made myself like a little evening snack. I poured myself a glass of wine. And I was like, so I'm just going to unwind for the evening. And then my friend hit me and was like, yeah, we're going to go to like the restaurant you recommended. Like we'll be there in like 15 minutes. Like come meet us. And I was like, yeah, I am already in my soft clothes with like my bra off. But because it's you and because I love you, just because you are you and you exist, I'm going to change into like real clothes and put on some eyeliner, but not fill in my eyebrows because that's too much and come meet you. So I did that. So I ended up going to dinner with my friend and her friend and another friend and another friend and her parents. Wonderful people. I'm so glad I went. I walked in and like my favorite waiter from another restaurant, but the restaurants are all owned by the same people. My favorite server comes over and he was like, hey, Demetria. And everyone at the table was like, oh, you be outside. You be outside. And apparently you're tipping well if the waiter is coming over to say hello to you. I was like, yes. Yes. Yes, this is my life. So the reason I tell you all this is because I'm 7 hours ahead. So like if something happens on the East Coast, say like at 4 p.m. on like Wednesday or 8 p.m. on Wednesday, because that's actually when that guy was booked. Okay, so that's the middle of the night my time, which means the story would break in the news on Thursday morning. So Thursday morning to the East Coast is Thursday afternoon to me. So when the crazy shit is happening with the coach from the University of Michigan, I'm out gallivanting. I'm at a museum, I'm having high tea, and then I'm shopping, and then like I'm coming home to recuperate, and then I'm out to dinner. There was great conversation and lots of wine. So as this story is unfolding, I'm largely unavailable. But this works in my favor because even if I was available, I've just been doing this podcast and I've been like a journalist. The podcast is not technically journalism, but I try to use like journalistic integrity when I talk about things. I'm just a little messy with some of my commentary, which is not actually journalism, but the facts that I report, I like to make sure they're as accurate as possible, which is why when I get something wrong, I make a point to be like, hey, I was wrong. This is what it was. I think that that's showing good integrity. One of the things that I have learned being a journalist since, I don't know, like my first article was published in fall 2000 is that when there are breaking news stories, especially of something that is really drama filled, there always tends to be an add on to the drama. So if someone is fired for whatever cause, whatever is reported about the cause, like within the first 24 hours, it could be like A-level drama, and then people just want to put a plus 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 on it, like it's an AP class. So it's always better to just take a beat and wait for the actual facts of the story to unravel and be accurately reported as opposed to being first with something that is not accurate. I've learned this over time in attempts to be first and not having the correct details. I prefer to have the correct details, especially when I want to give a good dragging about something, when I have really good commentary and strong opinions. I don't want to walk it back a couple episodes later. That's my ego. That's not ethics. I say all this to say, on Wednesday, the coach of University of Michigan, the first Black coach of the University of Michigan, not to be confused with Michigan State, because University of Michigan and Michigan State are very, 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 very petty about people confusing them. The head coach of the University of Michigan, his name is Sherrone Moore. He's been the head coach for about 2 years. He is 39 years of human age. He is the first Black coach at the University of Michigan, not to be confused with Michigan State. That's his professional information. In his personal life, he's also married to a woman named Kelly for the last decades. And he and Kelly have 3 children. They are 3 daughters. I do have their names. I don't think it's important. I don't have their ages. To my knowledge, the children were born into wedlock. So they're at oldest under 10 years old. Oh, I've seen pictures of the wife, and I only mention this detail because when married men do heinous shit, people tend to blame the wife. As an example, do you remember when Ugh, he's so distasteful to me, even to this day, because of this. Antoine Fuqua, film director, Antoine Fuqua, when he was caught gallivanting, I put that in air quotes. This is when I need to be on camera so you can see me putting it in air quotes. When Antoine Fuqua was caught gallivanting with Nicole Murphy, he was like all hugged up and like with his tongue all down her throat while he was overseas. I think it was some sort of like film event, but his wife, Layla Rashawn, was not with him. But someone captured Antoine Fuqua and Nicole Murphy, who is not his wife. And when the pictures were splashed everywhere, people blamed Layla Rashawn instead of her very married with, I think, 2 children husband, for, gallivanting with a woman who is not his wife. And people were like, well, hey, she didn't, keep herself together. And so like, he needed some action from an attractive woman. And I was like, hey, 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 Layla Rashawn might have fluffed. The people who were criticizing Layla Rashawn, especially the women, you might be smaller than Layla Rashawn, but like, are you actually prettier than Layla Rashawn? Like, I think sometimes people confuse. They be like, oh, like, well, okay, like she's big. Like, okay, so she gained some weight. Okay, fine. At all sizes of Layla Rashawn, that face card has been a 10. Sometimes people confuse being small with being pretty. And it's like, yes, you're small. You have a great shape. But do you have a great face? Because it's two different things. Layla Rashawn Fluffy is still a bad bitch. She's been beautiful the whole time. People be like, she doesn't look like she did back in the day. Like, oh, it's been 30 years since back in the day. And just in case you think I'm having a conversation like, oh, she's pretty for a fluff girl. No, 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 no. Layla Rashawn at her fluffiest, there were tens of thousands, if not hundreds, of men who would be happy for her to lay her head on their pillow. Hundreds of thousands of men would have loved to talk her through it. Stop this. Stop this nonsense. It's the 30th anniversary of Waiting to Exhale. And so Layla Rashawn and Angela Bassett and Loretta Devine have been doing interviews. I saw the three of them, and in my head, I thought there were four women. And I forgot that Whitney had died. And then like I had a whole like meltdown about it because like she should still be here with us. That's not the point. The point is Layla Rashawn was, and will always be fine. I mean, fine as in like life will be good, even if she decided to stay with that philandering, trifling husband. But that's not the point. She forgave him. I haven't. Layla Rashawn is like big sis. I'm like, okay, so you decided to stay with the nigga. Like I still feel a way about it, but that's your marriage. That's your husband. Okay. But don't ever think you don't have other options. Like you're Layla MF Rashawn. Do you see you? Do you see you? I see you. I hope you see you too. That's not the point. The point is this man, Sherrone Moore, he has been married to this woman, his wife, Kelly, since 2015. Nice looking lady. So for people who like to be like, oh, the wife, she let herself go. She has 3 kids. Like she don't look like she used to look. Yeah, she does. She looked real cute. She is also a woman of uncolored Caucasian heritage. On Wednesday, this man, Sherrone Moore, not to be confused with Sherrone Moore, he was fired from his good job at the University of Michigan. So I keep seeing people report that, it was a $6 million job. Sherrone Moore, he had a 5-year contract with the University of Michigan. He was being paid, his base salary was 5.5 million American USD dollars and dineros. So in addition to his base salary of 5.5 million American USD dollars and dineros, he also had bonuses that were available to him. Now, I don't know sports, so hopefully I won't butcher these terms. So there's like a conference that the team is in. And so if they win their conference, then he got an additional 500,000 American USD dollars and dineros. But also if he went forward and he won the national championship, then he could also gain 1 million American USD dollars and dineros. So he had a lot of money available to him. So just off the top of my head, that's like what? Like 7 million if he's successful in his job. He has now lost his job. And so also, I think this is worth noting, as part of his contract, you can be fired with cause or without cause. In the case of this gentleman, if he had been fired without cause, his contract guaranteed him, this is a very specific number, 13.89 million American USD dollars and dineros. I reached out to my bestie. He's like a sports fanatic. And I was like, how was he as a coach? Like, was he good? Was he bad? And he was like, he was solid. He was like, he had more wins than losses. He beat the rivals in Ohio more often than he didn't. And so that was a plus. But like, he wasn't feeling as a coach. He just wasn't like, like the best coach ever in like human life. But he was solid. Okay. If he had been terminated without cause, just like, you know what, he's not winning enough for us. Like we just want more wins. We want to go to the national championship. We don't think he could get us there. They could have terminated his contract. I think he was under this contract for about 2 years. He could have terminated this contract and received that almost $14 million. But because he was fired with cause, it's coming. He will not be receiving this additional money. So whatever he's been paid up until this point, that's all the money that he was going to see. I would also like to note here that I'm hearing the number 5.5 million as a base salary, and then like the additional bonuses. If he succeeded in the way that the university wanted, was about 7 million a year. This number sounds very good to me. I could live a good life off 5.5 million per year plus $1 million and possibly 500,000 as a bonus. This salary overall is notably low. So I hear 5.5 million and I'm like, God damn, that's a lot of money for a coach. It's also ranked as like the 40th highest paid salary among college coaches. So if you can be a college coach of a winning team, they will pay your ass. That's a good job to have. Also, this 13.89 guaranteed money, I read that it's like the second to lowest among the Big Ten coaches. So this sounds like a lot of money. Among the Big Ten coaches, they would scoff at this. Like the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 would be like, I'm not working for that. I don't get out of bed for this amount. So just keep that in mind. First Black coach at the University of Michigan. I don't know the history of University of Michigan and their coaching and their football or anything like that, but Bestie made sure to tell me. And he was like, when you mention it, make sure you say they racist. And I was like, okay, I'll mention that. Okay.
All right, y'all, gather round because Monet Exchange from Sibling Rivalry is here with an announcement. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Google Gemini. Now listen, the girls over at Google said, Monet, tell the children, so I'm telling you. U.S. college students get Google Gemini's Pro Plan free for 1 year. Use the best model in the world for multimodal understanding, so whether you're uploading a video to get feedback on your presentation, uploading a photo of your homework to ask for help, or transcribing notes from a lecture you missed, Gemini 3 Pro can help. And baby, if I had this in college, she would have been unstoppable. Picture it. Monet Exchange in the library, uploading a picture of my music theory homework like, Gemini, please help a diva out. Or recording my rehearsal videos for feedback instead of crying in the practice room for 3 hours. This would have been life-changing. Now, back to the goods. Sign up to get more access to Google's most accurate model, Gemini 3 Pro. Unlimited image uploads, pro-level image editing, higher limits in Notebook LM, Gemini in Gmail and Docs, 2 terabytes of storage, and more. You heard me, 2 terabytes. That's enough space to store every vocal warm-up, drag race look, and every photo your aunt sends you of her plants. Visit gemini.google/students to learn more and sign up. Terms apply.
What do you want? Not family, not friends, not society at large, you. What do you want and how do you want it? Without the noise of external opinions, you may have the space to find out. On the dating app field, curiosity leads the way towards intimacy with others and yourself. Desires, interests, the space to change again and again. There's room for all of it here. If you have a fantasy, say it. If you have a desire, include it in your bio. You just may get what you want. If life on field interests you, here's a closer look at exactly what happens there. Now, I love Field because it doesn't gatekeep connection. In an age where dating apps create hurdles to finding your people, Field is built differently. They don't guide your desire. You will be neither punished or rewarded for exploring your desires, unless that's your thing. In a place where there's no pressure to be anything, who will you be? My favorite part, there's no fast swipe culture. Sometimes attraction takes time. Here, you don't have to make a split decision in order to see another person. Skip profiles, go back, and take the time you need to decide if you really like someone. Are you ready to give Field a try? That's FEELD. Download Field on the App Store or Google Play. I'm going to start with just the facts of this story. I want to give you my journalistic integrity because this is messy as hell. And then I'll go into the allegations alleged. What I heard had happened was what people in Michigan is saying is. So there was a university investigation. I'm not quite sure on when it started. I have read multiple news reports, anywhere from the Daily Mail to ESPN, MSNBC, CNN. No one has an actual date on when this investigation started. So the university started an investigation at some point about Sherrone Moore having an affair with a staffer. The staffer, New York Post is the only person that's identified them, but they put together a lot of context clues in order to identify her. One of the context clues being there was a 911 call that happened on Wednesday, and it came from a woman who was on staff. In fact, Sherrone Moore's executive assistant. She's a blonde white girl. She's 32 years old. She looks much younger in pictures, but she is in fact a grown-ass woman. And her name is Paige Shiver, Shiver, 32 years old. The 911 call that came from her address highly indicated that she was the person that Sherrone Moore was having an affair with. The 911 call refers to the woman being stalked, the woman, Sherrone Moore threatening to kill himself, and the woman stalked for months. Also, while she was working for Coach Moore, her salary increased 50%. And she apparently didn't get a new job title or any additional duties. So it's pointing towards her as the person. But I told you we're just going to stick with the facts. And so that's why I'm going to say alleged right here, even though it's like 98.9%. Okay, but just we're dealing in facts. So I just want to be clear. So initially, when the university announces this investigation, we'll talk in a second about what launched the investigation because that's just rumored. The investigation went nowhere. The university went to Sherrone Moore and they went to the alleged mistress and they were like, "Hey, what's going on? Because we are getting reports that, y'all are engaged in something." And they were both like, "No, no, what are you talking about? Like, that's crazy. Like, no, 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 no." So denial, denial, denial. So lots of gossip about it, but there was no confirmation. From whenever this investigation began until sometime like on Tuesday, everything that I'm reading says 24 hours before he was fired. The announcement of his firing, the public announcement from the university, I think ESPN broke the story an hour before the university did, but the university announced his firing around 4:30 p.m. on Wednesday. So sometime on Tuesday, the university received information. It just comes to light is the phrase that's used in most of the reported journalism that I've read. But 24 hours before the university publicly announces that he's fired, they got information of inappropriate behavior. It is alleged that the mistress took receipts to investigators at the university and she acknowledged the affair. From what I've heard, we're talking about like screenshots of text messages, email exchanges between herself and the head coach, Mr. Moore. That's what I'm hearing and reading out of unconfirmed reports out of Michigan. I'm not sure exactly when the university told him he was fired. What I have read online is there was a staff meeting with all of the coaches and other staff for the football team, and the head coach was not included. And then he got wind of the meeting and realized like the jig was up. He was told that he was fired long before the story actually broke, both on ESPN and also when the University of Michigan, an hour after ESPN reported it, they made a public statement about it. Around 4 p.m. on the day he was fired, this is according to police documents, Sherrone Moore went to the address of the woman who is alleged to be his mistress. TMZ has the audio recording of police dispatch relaying the information from the 911 call that came from the apartment. The person who called said that they had been attacked in the apartment, and a man, now believed to be Sherrone Moore, threatened to kill them and also kill himself, and he had a knife. Dispatch also relays that the person who called 911 said that Sherrone Moore had lost his job that day and was feeling suicidal. Finally, dispatch relays that the woman who called 911 said that Sherrone Moore had been stalking her for months. Sherrone Moore put a knife to his throat and then he ran out. I'm going to guess that out is out of the apartment. The person also says that he threw the knife and he fled to a nearby church, Well Church, and that is where Sherrone Moore is later arrested and then booked in jail. There's actual timestamp of this at 8:30 p.m. As I am reporting this, it is 12:27 to me in South Africa. It's approaching 6 a.m. on the East Coast. I guess that's Central Time. That would put it at 5 a.m. So obviously the courts are not open. Sherrone Moore has not been charged with anything at this time. He's expected to be arraigned at sometime on Friday when we should have additional details about exactly why he has been arrested. We can talk about that on the Wednesday episode of the podcast because I got shit to do later today and then over the weekend. Okay. The New York Post is reporting that Sherrone Moore is in protective custody while he is in jail, and he is, quote, surrounded by mental health professionals. New York Post also makes a note to say that Moore had been, quote, acting strange. And this is according to what they found on ESPN. I have not seen this for myself, and so I'm just telling you where New York Post got it from. He was described as having, quote, an uneasiness. According to University of Michigan staffers in the last couple of weeks, they said he'd been berating assistant coaches and not acting in a normal way. This is according to Josh Pete, who is a college football analyst for ESPN. And he says that speculation about Moore's future at University of Michigan had been swirling for weeks. These are the facts. Anything that I've said that is alleged, I've been very clear about what is alleged so far. But what I have shared with you is mostly the facts of this case. So there are a few other things that have been swirling around that are being reported on, but they're not necessarily reporters that I'm familiar with, so I can't verify it. I like to have my information. I know this is just a very old school way of thinking about things. I like to have it from a reputable news source. I know that there are tons of independent reporters. I just want to be transparent with you that sports is not my beat. So entertainment people who cover things that are not necessarily affiliated with an organization, I know who those people are, who to be like, oh, they're reputable, they're not reputable. I'm not familiar with who are the independent people in sports who are more reputable. So I just want to err on the side of caution for this. So what I'm about to say next are things that are coming from people who are reporters that I can't verify, but they are prominent narratives affiliated with this story. I just can't verify them at this time. I really need the arraignment or like one of the prominent publications to do like a deep dive, which is coming. It just takes time. This is one of those stories that is so salacious that I can just tell from the lack of reporting on it that the big publications are taking a beat to make sure they get their sourcing correct, which is what they're supposed to do. That's journalistic integrity. Let me give you some things that people are discussing that we think to be true, it just are not confirmed at this time. Allegedly, the initial investigation of this story began when Sherrone Moore ordered Plan B on DoorDash, and the DoorDash driver delivery person reported to the university that they had picked up Plan B and delivered it to this man's job. That's the important part. It's not just that he ordered DoorDash or Plan B, which, I mean, I just feel like some things, like, fine. Like, you need some seasonings, you need some, some random things for the kitchen. You're grocery shopping for the week. Like, you want to DoorDash that? Like, I take no issue with it. I just kind of feel like your Plan B, you should show up in person yourself to go get your Plan B. But allegedly, he ordered this Plan B on DoorDash and had it delivered to his job. And then the DoorDasher is the person who reported it to the university and was like, hey, this is what I dropped off. And I just thought y'all should know what's going on with your head coach. Apparently, the DoorDasher is a pro-lifer or something like that. I also just want to reiterate here that I looked for specifically this Plan B story, and no reputable news outlet is reporting on it. Just keep that in mind. I've also heard, and again, unverified, that the staffer, the 32-year-old, the cute blonde, and she's real cute. She's super cute. She's adorable. I read that she was pregnant and that he forced her to have an abortion that he paid for. I don't know if that's a part of the Plan B story or she was actually further along and she went in to see the lady and have an actual procedure. Fucking a married man is bad enough. Having a baby by a married man is just completely fucking insane. I am pro-choice. So if she chose to have an abortion, I take no issue with that. Allegedly, he was told that he was fired from the university and his first stop was his house to see his wife. I'm not clear on whether he told his wife that he had been fired from his good job, his good multi-million-dollar plus bonuses, contractually obligated for 5 years job. Just off the top of my head, roughly, if he just did the basics of what he was supposed to do, that's around roughly $32, $33 million. You can live off that. You can make a good life off that, especially with 3 kids. You can live decent. You could take trips. You could eat well-nourished, well-fed. You could buy bags. You can live off that. I'm unclear on whether he told his wife he ain't got no job or his wife heard it through the grapevine. 1, that you ain't got no job. And then 2, why you ain't got no job. Because again, if they had just fired him with no cause, then they would have $13 million paid out. But because it's with cause, University of Michigan don't got to pay him no more monies. Apparently, his first stop was his marital home, and he got into an argument with his wife, which would completely track to me. My husband telling me he got fired from fucking some young trick and then lost millions of fucking dollars. That's an argument, to say the least.
This episode is brought to you by NBA on Prime. This Tuesday at 8:30 Eastern, it's the Emirates NBA Cup Championship Game on Prime. This year's quest for the Cup has been building to this, the championship game, live from Las Vegas. Not a Prime member? Sign up for a 30-day free trial to get started today. The Emirates NBA Cup Championship Game, this Tuesday at 8:30 Eastern, only on Prime. Restrictions apply. See Amazon.com/Amazon Prime for details.
REI Co-op presents a perfect outdoor moment with the perfect gift. Picture this. You're ripping with your favorite person. Bluebird skies, blower powder, and frankly, you're skiing like legends.
So sick. Another lap?
Thanks to REI's curation, from lid to sticks, you nailed the gift.
No way. How'd you know?
Does it get more perfect than that? Give without guessing. Shop in store or visit rei.com.
Jason, Disney asked me to do this podcast thing. I need some advice.
You've got to have banger guests.
Walker and Leah. Daniel Diemer. Tim Simon. Adam Copeland.
You're the one asking the questions.
How? Why?
And they better answer.
I don't know anything.
Epic.
This season is just makeup.
Quest. I'm Arian Samhadri. Welcome to the Percy Jackson and the Olympians official podcast. Available wherever you get your podcasts. And watch season 2 of Percy Jackson streaming now on Disney Plus and Hulu. Learn more at disneyplus.com/what's-on.
Allegedly, he storms out of the marital home and then he goes to the mistress. Based on the allegations, it's not a fact that the mistress turned in the receipts. I said that earlier. It's an allegation, not a fact. If he is under the belief that the mistress is the one who dined out the affair, who went and confirmed to the university after previously denying. That's a fact. The denials are a fact. The allegations that she took receipts to the university, that he showed up to the house with a knife and threatened to murder suicide, that's fucking crazy. That's fucking crazy. But I also see that in his head, like a motive. I'm thinking of how men's minds tend to operate, not like I did this dumb shit and then finally got caught and that's why I lost my job. It's you told on me, you were disloyal, and that's why I lost my job. So allegedly, that's why he would have shown up at the mistress's house and then threatened to like kill them both. Those are the major allegations. There's other stuff circulating about like the wife divorcing him and hiring a divorce team and blah, blah, blah. It's too soon to even contemplate any of that. It's only been like 48 hours since the story broke. She doesn't know what she's going to do. It wouldn't surprise me if she stayed and did some like Stand By My Man. It also wouldn't surprise me if she like bounced. I really can't call that. So like the rumors and such circulating about that, like no one really knows because she don't know. It ain't been long enough for her to like sit with the betrayal, the devastation. I don't know what else is going on in the marriage. I did read a report that said that this is not the university's first investigation into Sherrone Moore and other women. Again, allegation, not fact. Just want to be clear on what we're talking about. But I read that this is the third time that the university has done an investigation about him and other women. Let me add this too before I also add commentary here. Shannon Sharpe, I don't know what compels people who really have nothing to do with scandalous shit, but also have known scandalous shit in their history to like jump in and offer commentary on things like this. For whatever reason, Shannon Sharpe has decided to insert himself into this conversation. And he was like, you know what? I identify with what the coach is going through. I went through something similar not so many months ago. And this is what he said. This is on his nightcap segment last night. I'm reading this on the New York Post too. It says Shannon Sharpe explained that he could relate to, quote, the pressure cooker that Sherrone Moore is in after the Michigan coach was fired on Wednesday. And it notes here, it says, during the latest installment of the Nightcap podcast, Sharpe, who settled, they don't even say alleged here, they say who settled a $50 million sexual assault lawsuit from a woman in July. No alleged, like they state that he settled a lawsuit for $50 million. They said Shannon Sharpe was visibly emotional as he weighed in on Moore's situation. He says, quote, 6 months ago, I went through something very similar. So I know what that storm is like. And they note here, Sharpe, who was taken off the air at ESPN after news of the lawsuit broke, he continued, quote, you don't know what you would do until you're in it, that pressure cooker in the eye of the storm. He says everything you worked your entire life for, you feel like it's crumbling right before your eyes. And the only people that are going to be there are going to be a select few. That's the hardest part. Now, Shannon Sharpe, let me be real clear. Let me be real clear with you, because I read on here the lawsuit that was filed against you by your barely legal, I can't say mistress because he's not a married man, the barely legal woman that you as a man at over 50 years of age was dealing with. That woman was younger than some of your children. In that instance, that woman had accused you of sexual assault is the cleaned up version of saying rape. What this coach is accused and not yet charged at this time, and there is no lawsuit here, but what this coach is accused of is having a consensual affair with a woman 7 years his junior, who professionally, like he was her superior. It was, from what I'm reading, alleged, again, this is not fact, that it was in his contract that he is not to, quote and unquote, fraternize with members of the staff. So he is in direct violation of his contract by doing this. He's also accused of, according to the 911 call, of stalking this woman for months. So I know that there's more coming out in terms of this story for sure, just based on that allegation. And then he also went to this woman's house and threatened to kill her, and then also himself in a murder-suicide. what you have in common is being two Black men in sports in positions of power with poor penis management. But he's not accused of rape, and you're not accused of breaking and entering or threatening to kill someone or kill yourself. I don't know what compelled him to align himself with this situation. I can honestly tell you that I wasn't thinking about Shannon Sharpe at all when I was initially thinking about this story. I was thinking about Nia Long's ex. He was dating or engaged to Nia Long. They have a child together. They've been in a long-term relationship, like almost like a decade or something like that. And he started fucking around with like the wife of one of the owners of his organization, and like a poor in the face looking woman. I was like, you got Nia Long at home and you cheating on her with this? Cause he fine too. And I was like, you couldn't find nobody fine to cheat with? At least like make it make sense. Like at least let us understand the attraction. The poorest of dick management. I understand the attraction with Sherrone Moore and this 32-year-old white chick. She just as cute as she could be. She's a cute white girl. His wife is cute too. She's a nice, again, I'm going to reiterate, she's a nice looking lady. I'm going to say some things now that are politically incorrect. I have bubbles in my system. Blame it on the alcohol. Blame it on the alcohol. I am confused. I'm deeply confused about the attraction of very successful Black men. Not all. All Black men don't do this. But some. I'm very confused about the attraction of successful, like millionaire level, powerful level, prestige level Black men. I'm confused about the willingness to risk it all. And by all, I mean like millions of dollars and like their family and like respect and like their job. Not even just like their current job, but like their career, their trajectory, and their livelihood over young. I don't want to attribute it just to like the sexual organs. It's something deeper than that. It's the ability to access a type of woman, young, white, blonde, that is the pinnacle of beauty in American culture. In this scenario, what is most likely to happen, like, and again, I can't call what the wife would do. You've lost your multi-million-dollar job. The crash out with his wife is expected, but the crash out of like going to the mistress's house, threatening to kill her and yourself, no one's ever going to employ you at the level that you're currently employed again. So like men cheating, men misbehaving, like you got fired from your job from that, he would have got a job somewhere else. He probably would have had to take a pay deduction for a couple years, but give it 5 years. He's only 39, somewhere around like his mid 40s, definitely late 40s. He would have like reemerged victorious back where he was. Men look out for other men, especially if you can make money for other people because of your wins. Not only are you a Black man cheating with like this young white girl on a white woman at that. So like you got one white girl at home, like you done secured your white chick and then had 3 babies with her. But you want to cheat with like another white chick and then you crash out over that white chick. Like you've completely shut down like your entire career. I don't know if he's going to end up with jail time over breaking in the lady house and threatening to kill her. It doesn't seem like he actually harmed her physically in any way, but I was like, there's going to be some consequence for that. He's going to get some sort of charge. He's going to have to hire a lawyer and be all like caught up in the system. But I'm like, just what? I guess I'm trying to understand the psychology of it, of like, what is it about these young white women that these men, these powerful men, these successful men, and in this point, I will include Shannon Sharpe, you're willing to like risk it all over them. Like my first thought is like something crude. I was like, oh, the girl pussy must be like sunshine. It must be the snappiness of snappers. Maybe her head game is undefeated. And again, that's the crude side of my mind thinking. But it's got to be something deeper than that. I just don't understand what makes these Black men do this dumb shit. But they do repeatedly. I don't get it. And like Shannon Sharp's situation, I'm not really too sure on like how the incident with Nia Long's ex came to light. I don't think the woman, the mistress who was also married, I don't think she's the one that told the story. But like in Shannon Sharp's instance, like she's the one that just got sick of the situation and dimed him out. In this situation with old boy, and this is all just based on the allegations. I mean, according to the 911 call, he's been stalking the lady for months. So the story about how like she actually went to administration and was like, well, yeah, okay. So I know before I said there was nothing, but actually there is something. That might have been her way to get him to stop stalking her. I could see a timeline where she is allegedly pregnant. He forces her to get an abortion or take Plan B. Those also could be two separate incidents. All of this is alleged. But I could see like a woman being like, you know what, this is too goddamn messy. I can't do this anymore. And then he doesn't want to end the affair because of like, whatever it fills him and his ego. He was like, you can't just end it. Like I could end it, but you can't end it. I thought when I recorded this episode that what was going to come up for me was like this epic dragging session where like I said the N word like 10 times in a row. Like, I think when I initially heard this story, actually not I think, when I posted it on Threads, I posted a picture of Councilman Tate, the councilman from Power, Lorenz Tate, being like, nigga, what? That was my initial reaction. I think that was most people's reaction. But the more I think about it, I'm just like, I feel not sorry for him. I'm very actually disgusted by him. But I'm just really just like, I don't know, kind of like befuddled. Like, you risked it all for what? Like you risked your career, you risked your marriage, you've pretty much ended your livelihood, at least in college football. Maybe you can go coach a high school team. They're not paying you millions of dollars to do that shit. But I'm like, but you did all this for what? Like you changed the trajectory of your family, your generational wealth, how you're able to provide for your children for what? Why? Some pussy? Or worse, your ego? Oh, dear God. One of my readers DM'd me and she suggested that I follow John U. Bacon. He is a journalist. He's an author. He's written books about sports at University of Michigan, which tracks. I looked up his bio. He's also been doing the talk show rounds to talk about this latest scandal at the University of Michigan. He was one of the first people to report about Sherrone Moore's crash out at the Mistresses before the police had said anything, even before like TMZ released the tapes. So he's got some good insider access. In his reporting, he confirms that Sherrone Moore is the father of 3, including a newborn. He just tweeted about that not so long ago. Also, he confirms the allegation about the mistress going to University of Michigan on Tuesday with receipts, which ultimately led to Sherrone Moore's firing. He also points out here, he says, I don't know what took University of Michigan so long to fire him, because he was like, I've been hearing rumors about him for years, is what he said. This is messy. So he asked in his tweet, what did Moore's boss know and when, and what did he say about it? Stay tuned. We'll keep an eye on this story as it develops. I'll be back on Wednesday with a new episode. I don't think this is the end of this story. I can guarantee you almost that New York Times, Rolling Stone, and ESPN are currently doing investigative pieces on this story and trying to piece together a timeline of exactly what happened on Tuesday or Wednesday. So if that's reported by Tuesday, Wednesday, we'll put it on the next episode. And if not, we'll put it on, I don't know, maybe another bonus episode. I only do bonuses when it's like, big, crazy shit. But I feel like this qualifies because I ain't seen a crash out like this. Like, OJ? Like, people have done dumb shit, but they've done dumb shit and then, like, they go silent for a while. Maybe they have, like, a social media crash out, but, like, to get fired from your job and then go to your mistress and, like, threaten to kill her and yourself and then, like, run off and get arrested at a church. Like, that's... Nigga, you crashed the fuck out. All right. We'll be back. Talk soon. Have a great weekend. Bye.
All All right, y'all, gather round because Monet Exchange from Sibling Rivalry is here with an announcement. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Google Gemini. Now listen, the girls over at Google said, Monet, tell the children, so I'm telling you. U.S. college students get Google Gemini's Pro Plan free for 1 year. Use the best model in the world for multimodal understanding, so whether you're uploading a video to get feedback on your presentation, uploading a photo of your homework to ask for help, or transcribing notes from a lecture you missed, Gemini 3 Pro can help. And baby, if I had this in college, she would have been unstoppable. Picture it. Monet Exchange in the library, uploading a picture of my music theory homework like, Gemini, please help a diva out. Or recording my rehearsal videos for feedback instead of crying in the practice room for 3 hours. This would have been life-changing. Now, back to the goods. Sign up to get more access to Google's most accurate model, Gemini 3 Pro. Unlimited image uploads, pro-level image editing, higher limits in Notebook LM, Gemini in Gmail and Docs, 2 terabytes of storage, and more. You heard me, 2 terabytes. That's enough space to store every vocal warm-up, drag race look, and every photo your aunt sends you of her plants. Visit gemini.google/students to learn more and sign up. Terms apply.